All right, just some tips on what to do to get this thing back on. You know, whoever's installing this thing, you want it as level as possible. And that was one of the things I figured was my ground wasn't level. I've got my base here that's nice and built to be level, but make sure your ground's level. Otherwise it's going to go on just a little bit crooked. And there's your bolts coming out of the undercarriage. You've got two electrical connectors there. You've got a quick connect hydraulic that should go back together pretty easy, and the power actually goes to the other module, the hot wire. You've got this other wire that comes down into the lift right here, and then you get those two plugs. But just those 4 bolts holding it up, and those collars slide on this rail. Those collars right there. And then you want to use both those nuts to jam it. Hopefully that helps some. I'm just sliding this whole sled out, so I think what you can do is just lay it on this sled and then push that whole thing under there. Just want to point out right there, washer goes on top of that collar before you go up against that jam nut. So just going over some of the stuff here, you got 4 of these brackets with the bolts, and this is what mounts to the frame. On the back side, it was actually mounted to the crossbars, so like the floor joists in the RV. And on the front, it was mounted to the frame that goes front to back, and another one was actually mounted to the hydraulic lift right there, the hydraulic stabilizer. So we have one mounted there and the other mounted here directly to the frame. And you got 4 of those. Got a total of 4 nuts, 2 washers on each one, so you can lock them together. You got a bag of goodies here, some collars, and then I've added notes to all these little things. You got a hook for the remote, and some other screws, etc. Your power cable, this is your ignition protection. So this was actually on the battery, and then this jumped straight to the lift, and it jumps to one of the screws in the black box there. I've got your black box mounted to these 2x4s so that it won't tip over. And here's your remote, which I will secure there as well. On the back of this black box, you've got this grounding cable. So this was just screwed, they just drilled a hole through the frame and then screwed that directly to the frame to ground. You get your controls I left hooked up here. I hooked them up again. So the controls, there's 2 connectors there in the box that come to these connectors over here, and you've got a quick connect on your hydraulic here that goes to the black box as well. This was actually mounted on the floor, and I've got some pictures of that. You just unscrew this screw, whole thing comes off, unscrew this piece here, and you'll have to drill a hole, feed this bottom piece up through the floor, and then this collar here gets drilled to the floor, and then this screw goes back on to secure it. And this is your lock to allow you to manually operate if you don't have power. You've got a pump here too, so this handle goes into this piece over here on the right hand side, and that pump will allow you to manually operate it. This is a piece that's going to go on your threshold. So flipping it over, this is the piece that gets screwed in, and then the whole thing just folds over from inside the RV to the lift. So once it's in position to load and unload, you want to pull this onto the lift, and that's going to be your bridge. So that'll just flip over and down on the lift like that. All right, hopefully this helps. I'll send the pictures as well. I've got it sitting outside here, but I do have a tarp I'm going to cover it with until you can come pick it up. Don't expect to get any rain, but we'll make sure it stays nice and dry just in case. So this is the internals of the controller. One thing I wanted to point out, you got two connectors here that go into the case. So you've got those two connectors right there. Black goes on the top, red goes on the bottom. So black on the top, red on the bottom. These two connectors go to the lift, and they're sized so that they can't be connected to the wrong connector, and they're shaped so that you can't connect them in the wrong way. Your power is going to go right here. So that's going to be this cord right here. You get two different connectors, one with a bigger hole and one with a little hole. The big hole goes here, and the little hole goes to your ignition protection right there, and that's going to go straight to your battery. But everything else is already connected. Your ground on the back I showed you in a different video, and your hydraulic comes out with a quick connect that stays connected on the internals here, so that should cover that.